Hey guys. Ha! Did you really think I was gonna animate the entire episode like that? Okay, but please just laugh at the joke. It took like 2 hours to animate. Please just laugh at the joke. Today we're gonna be finishing the story of Julius Caesar's life. However, this time I will be reading the story in English with the Latin translation, like shown here. So let's get into it! Julius Caesar had been chosen dictator for life and was put in command of all armies in Rome. The people gave him the title of father of his country. Statues of him were erected in the public buildings and squares, and a grand chair made somewhat like a throne was placed in the Senate chamber. Whenever there was a debate happening, he would come and sit in the throne like a king to listen. Caesar now had laws passed making many improvements in the government, and he also carried out plans to make Rome into a more commercial city. He did this by erecting magnificent buildings, making aqueducts to bring water to the city, establishing great libraries, and by doing many other things that greatly benefited the people. Caesar also corrected the inaccuracies that the calendar had with its length by adding an extra day every 4 years, which is now called a leap year, thus correcting the error. This was called the Julian calendar. In the last 500 years since the last king of Rome, no one had dared to declare himself king, but some Romans began to believe that Caesar secretly wanted to be king. One day, a close friend of Caesar saluted him as a king in public. In response, Caesar simply said, "I am not king, but only Caesar." Some of the nobles weren't buying this, however, and they formed a plot to kill him in the Senate house on the Ides of March, which is March 15th. One of the plotters was a close friend of Caesar named Junius Brutus, who had joined the plot thinking that Caesar was out to destroy the Republic. The Ides of March drew closer, and soon an augur or a fortune teller one day stopped Caesar in the street and said, "Beware the Ides of March." Caesar simply laughed at the warning. On the planned day, once Caesar had sat in his usual spot, one of the plotters went up to Caesar to request the pardon of a prisoner. Before he could respond, however, the others surrounded him. Caesar then began to stand up in alarm, but as he did, he was stabbed in the side with a dagger. Since Caesar was unarmed, it forced him to use a stylus as his only means of defending himself. Even with this hindrance, he fought valiantly, until he saw his friend Brutus coming to attack him. He then cried out, "You too, Brutus?" and made no further resistance before being stabbed to death. After publicly announcing their crime, the plotters all fled, and they were unfortunately never caught. The people held a grand funeral service for Caesar, where soon-to-be powerful Mark Antony gave an eloquent speech praising him. And that's the end of the story of Julius Caesar. I hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you next time.